What is going on, everybody? We're going to do things just a little bit different today. Sorry if the audio is muffled, but then again, most of what I want to say is written on this bag anyway. So if you can see me, then that pretty much conveys everything I feel needs to be conveyed. And I have to do something a little bit different, a little bit special to convey what happened out there today at Lumen Field. This disgraceful performance, this embarrassing performance that is probably going to cost this team the postseason, is going to cost them a double digit win season, going to cost them an opportunity to markedly improve over last season. And yeah, we just need to mix it up a little bit. This one calls for something special. I can't just sit here and act like this is just like a normal loss or even a normal bad loss. This needs to be something that is treated with tremendous gravity and magnitude. So we are getting out the bag, we are putting it on my head, and we are firmly coming down on one particular side of the fence here. So, um, Seahawks lose 30 to 23. Steelers had the ball at the 5 yard line at the end of the game. Could have punched it in for another score if they wanted to, but of course they lay down because they didn't need it. So really, it could have been a lot worse than that. And there are not words in the dictionary. There is no combination of words you can find in the dictionary to appropriately describe the defensive effort we saw out there today. And ultimately, it all has to come back to the head coach and the defensive coaches that are supposed to get these guys ready, supposed to get these guys on the right page, supposed to get something positive out of that group that going into this game was actually getting one of their best players back. Now, I'm not saying that Devin Witherspoon played a very good game. In fact, he missed quite a few tackles. He made some mistakes. It wasn't like he was doing amazing stuff out there and he was getting sandbagged by everybody else. But it's what I'm saying. I can sit here and blame every single player individually and just say they're all bad, they're all terrible, cut them all. Boye Mafe can't get pressure on the quarterback. Leonard Williams is bad now. This guy's bad, that guy's bad. All these guys are bad. Or I can say what is far more likely, that this team just wasn't prepared for this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Or even worse, and this is going to be kind of hard to reconcile with what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, they've quit. They don't want to play for this coach anymore. They don't want to play for this organization anymore. And they've just decided, hey, we're playing a third string quarterback with a mediocre at best offensive line. We're playing a team that gives a lot of their carries to a mediocre running back like Najee Harris. Let's just give up 470 yards of offense at home with everything on the line. 470 yards of offense to Mason Rudolph. This might be the worst ever. This is the only thing I can compare this one to would be 2020 giving up almost 500 yards and 30 points to Cam Newton when he was in New England. That is the only game I can think of in Pete Carroll's now quickly becoming unesteemed career as a defensive coach for the Seahawks, because we are now working on a streak of 8 straight defenses that are less than good and in some cases are downright really bad. That is the only game I can think of that compares to this one. And this one's probably worse because we had everything on the line. Now, to get in, you need to win next week, and then you need somebody to lose next week. We don't know who it's going to be yet, but I'm not really going to get into that right now. I want to talk about this game. I want to talk about the absolutely embarrassing effort of tackling today on defense. This was the worst tackling I've seen from a Seahawks team. I almost want to say ever, maybe ever. That was completely embarrassing. Diggs with the missed tackles, Woolen with the missed tackles, Witherspoon, Wagner, Bush, everybody. So again, I look at that and I go back to the coaches. I look at Clint Hurt and I look at Pete Carroll, because I don't think every single player on this team just forgot how to tackle. They were not prepared, they were not properly motivated. And yes, I am going to pin this on the coaches. Now, that doesn't mean the players get absolved either. But when you have a game that goes that wrong in every single way imaginable, we played 60 minutes of football and we forced one single solitary punt. We had 0 turnovers. I think we had maybe 1 sack on Rudolph. That's not a very good offensive line, and we barely got to him all game. We had a couple of tackles for loss, mostly at the end of the game when we knew they were just going to try to run the clock out, basically. So basically, nothing went right on this defense. And for that to happen in week 17 when you're fighting for a playoff spot and you're winning in scenario, for that level of effort, for that level of just ineptitude to show up is beyond not okay and should be the nail in the coffin of the Pete Carroll era. He absolutely needs to be fired. He absolutely needs to go. I don't even really feel like discussing it with people anymore. I don't know what you guys need to see to believe it if you don't believe it yet. How many years in a row is this defense going to be below the top 10? How many years in a row is this defense going to be just straight up bad? How much money is he going to spend? How many draft picks is he going to spend? How many good players is he going to bring in and still not get the results? How many times are we going to blame players and just forget the fact that it's Pete Carroll's fault that the player's here in the first place because he's involved in personnel signing, he's involved in the draft, and we act like, oh, he just fell backwards into this group of players. No, he didn't fall into this group of players. The group of players were picked partially by him. Him and John are the guys who put this team together. So if the players are bad, it's his fault too. He's been here for over a decade. Every single player that is on this team is here because he either wanted it or he came to an agreement with it with Schneider. So if the players are bad, and I don't really think the players are that bad, then that's on Pete too. So I'm not buying anything like that. I'm not going to say, oh, it's just the players' fault, cut all the players, get new players. No, you've already had the opportunity to cut players and go get new players. You've had multiple opportunities, and nothing you do works. We have not had a good defense since 2016, and for for this defense, obviously the chances of it being good this season had already gone well out the window. But you can at least show up and do something at home against a third string quarterback with the playoffs on the line. But no, no, not even close. That was I I almost had an aneurysm watching that game today. I could not believe that a defense could no show to that degree. And honestly, at this point, I mean, I'm not saying that the wins were worthless, but beating Philadelphia at this point just looks like we beat a really bad team. Philly at this point is probably one of the worst teams in the league. That's the only thing I can figure out at this point for them to be this bad for what, 5, 6 games in a row. They've looked awful. Like at this point, that's not even a good win, really. And that Titans game goes without saying. That's not a good win either. So realistically, this team is on a massive cold streak where they beat bad teams, and when they actually have to face something even slightly real, not even a great team, just an okay team like the Rams or the Steelers, close the door, forget about it. No, you're not taking care of it. So, yeah, this defense, F minus, 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 minus. The job of the coaching staff, F minus, 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 minus. The players, F minus. I mean, everything is just so rancid on this defense. And if there's one person out there who wants to watch this defense for another season, I would be very surprised. I would be very surprised if there's someone out there who, in good faith, will actually argue that the Seahawks should have this defense again next year. We've tried different schemes. We've tried different defensive coordinators, tried different players. Nothing works. And today needs to be the nail in the coffin. Period. I've had it. And quite frankly, if you haven't had it, then I don't think you're watching the same games that I watch. The offense, I mean, that side of the ball came with some problems, but overall, I mean, what can they do? What can they do? There was a lot of good stuff on the offense. K9 looked awesome, and then he got dinged up a little bit, came back. Didn't seem too much after that, but K9 came out like a man possessed. I thought he was playing awesome in the passing game and the running game. The run blocking actually started out this game looking good. Gino came out looking really good. He made some great throws throughout that first half and part of the second half. DK Metcalf was pretty locked in. I know he picked up a holding penalty, but I'm never going to get mad at Metcalf for something like that where it's just high effort and then he pushes it a little too far. That's just the cost of doing business in the NFL if you're going to block at receiver. Noah Fant, awesome game from him. Colby Parkinson did good. JSN had a great touchdown catch in the back of the end zone. Awesome stuff there. We used the middle of the field a bunch in this game, which for a lot of this game, this actually looked like a Shane Waldron offense. For a lot of this game, it actually looked like an offense that the Sean McVay Rams might utilize. We're throwing the ball over the middle of the field. We're getting it out quickly. Geno Smith did not get sacked once until the end of the game. Awesome stuff from this offense in many regards. But then, well, first of all, I'll just say it. How mad can I get at this offense when Abe Lucas goes down right before half, and then we lose Evan Brown? So the entire right side of the offensive line is all backups. Bradford, Oluwatimi, and Forsyth. Like, what do you think's going to happen? It's not going to be great. Now, obviously, on the big play, the fumble by Geno Smith, he holds onto the ball too long, which really sucked. But we were still going to lose that game anyway because the defense couldn't stop anything. So I'm not even going to get too twisted up about that. The run blocking deteriorated, but that was after players got hurt and came out, and then we were playing backups along the right side, so I'm not getting mad about that either. Again, it's just so hard to get mad at the offense when they actually do a lot right in this game. They put up 23 points on a good defense and really played well enough. What they did in this game should have been enough to win. It should have been. And the fact that it wasn't, it's hard for me to drill them too much for it. I mean, I'll drill Geno a little bit for the fumble because he did hold on to the ball too long. I'll drill Cross for that play because he got beat by Nick Herbig, not TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, a backup. So that's bad. I'll drill Waldron a little bit for some of the trickeration he tried where I swear to God, it looks like we don't even practice the dang plays. The attempted, what was it? The shovel pass, the direct snap to K9. Like, why are you doing that with your backup center? Why are you messing around with that stuff? Why are we lobbying fade routes to the corner around the goal line? Like the middle of the field is just completely closed down to us. Why are we trying to just throw up 50-50 balls to Metcalf and Lockett in the red zone like that? There's got to be a better play call out there than that. Couple other little things as well, like maybe you shouldn't do a long developing play when Stone Forsythe is your starting right tackle. But again, it's like the offense actually did some things right in this game, and it's hard for me to go after them too much when a lot of the problems they had probably stemmed from the players that they lost. Like K9 left for a little bit in this game too, and after he came back, he was a non-factor. Partially because the defense couldn't stop anything, so we never really were able to run the ball very much after that point. But man, it's disgusting. It's just disgusting that this team that has spent so much money at safety, that has spent so many resources at corner, that has spent some money at linebacker, that has spent all this money on the defensive line, that made a big trade to bring in a defensive lineman like Leonard Williams, that did this, that did that, that did this and that and this and that on the defense, needs to lean on Geno Smith and DK Metcalf in totality. Just completely, absolutely lean on those guys for the whole game to basically be perfect for us to even have a chance to win at home against a middling team, which is what the Steelers are this year. A middling team. They might finish with 10 wins. Probably. I mean, if the Ravens try, I mean, who even cares if they're not a great team, right? You should win at home against their third string quarterback. But somehow you play a full game against their third string quarterback and you still can't stop the run. You don't force a single turnover. You're letting Najee Harris run for 100 on you. Like I feel like a jerk for even sitting here talking about the offense at all, because the offense actually did a lot right. The offense kept us in this game. Even after we lost the offensive lineman, Geno didn't get sacked until that fateful play in the fourth quarter. He got sacked, I think, once this whole game, which is incredible. So it's like he overcame that. Lockett basically no-showed in this game. He had a couple drops, and I think he ran a bad route on another play where the ball went his way. But he had to overcome that. I thought Waldron did a lot right, even if he ended up doing quite a bit wrong by the end of the game. But it's like the offense I get because they can't keep a starting 5 offensive line out there consistently. Every game something goes wrong, and it's really hard to sustain offensive success in that situation. So, no, this is all about the defense. This is all about Pete Carroll's defense that he has dumped countless resources into. And for the failure of that defense absolutely needs to be fired, absolutely needs to be let go. I mean, after a game like today, I don't even want to stop at firing him. I want to go Joseph Stalin on him and delete him from the history of the Seahawks like Stalin used to do. I want his picture erased from every single picture in the VMAC and have him digitally replaced with Ronald McDonald. I want his name stricken from every single Seahawks book. 20 years from now, I want Seahawks fans to not even know that he was our head coach after a game like today because, God, I don't think it's possible to be this embarrassing. You gave up almost 500 yards of offense to Mason Rudolph when you were playing for a playoff spot. All right, well, I kept this bag on my head long enough. I don't want to asphyxiate myself, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video there. Hope you guys enjoyed my ranting and raving. Don't count on me doing this again anytime soon. I only bust this one out for special levels of embarrassment, and today is a special level of embarrassment. So, thanks for watching. We'll stream later. I'll not have the bag on my head when we do. Go Hawks, I guess, but, I mean, we deserved to have half that stadium filled with Steelers fans like it was today. That is... I mean, when that game started and I saw all the Steelers fans, it was like 50% Steelers fans. I was like, why? Why are no Seahawks fans showing up to this game? And I figured it out. It was like, oh yeah, because they knew. They knew about what was going to go down on the field. And the only reason why the team didn't get booed for 3 hours is because the stadium was half Steelers fans. So thank your lucky stars for that, guys. Like, everybody on defense, you should give your paycheck to guys on the offense this week. Every coaching... All the defensive coaches, give your paycheck to players on the offense. Give it to Geno, give it to Metcalf, give it to Fant, give it to K9, give it to somebody who deserves it. I'm done. See you guys later.